The wealth gap is, I think it's actually kind of an un-American idea, if I can say that. People who are, how do you become a billionaire? How do people who are very wealthy become wealthy? Did they get it by exploiting the poor? It's not how they, did Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, did they exploit the poor? They get it by creating something of value, producing something of value that helps billions and billions of people every day. I mean, I give the example these days, Michelle, that, I remember my folks bought an encyclopedia in the 80s that was $1,500 in the 80s. That's like $3 or $4 grand today.
That's how much encyclopedias
are? Oh yeah, they were tremendously expensive. I mean, you think about too, that was books one time a year updated. I mean, it wasn't exactly. So I mean, knowledge was so along. How do you get to be rich in America? How do you get to be up there at the top by creating something of value, producing something of value? And the gap really is irrelevant as long as people are free. This is not a country where anyone is guaranteed anything. Only the opportunity to go as high and as far as they can take themselves. That's a beautiful thing. And as we kind of, said a moment ago, it's not ironic, but it's benevolent that the poor in, let's say, the lowest end of the gap, right? If there's this gap, the gap to me is irrelevant, but the people in the lowest end of the gap in America are tremendously wealthy by every stretch of the imagination on a world stage. Where else would you rather be poor than in America? And not because of the freebies, the handouts, the
welfare.
The welfare state, exactly.
You guys have a question in the book called, is capitalism efficient?
Yes. I mean, well, there's, Ayn Rand has a great book actually called Capitalism, the Unknown Ideal. So capitalism is pretty unknown even as to what it is. Capitalism is the American system, and this country is a capitalist country. We haven't acted like it, certainly not.
I was going to say, do you think we're so capitalist?
No, terrible. I mean, it's been happening it's getting worse and worse and worse. Capitalism, think of it as leaving people free to trade for their own selfish benefit. And where do we start talking about two ways to interact, trade and force? When you leave people free to trade to their own selfish benefit, I mean, I'm not religious, but it is like a miracle. I mean, in a capitalist country, it's like it used to be maybe every year, but like every 6 months, there's tremendous new miracles, innovations in healthcare and technology and building. I mean, capitalism it's tremendously efficient. And in fact, if you look at the lifespan, this is, it's not in the book, but it's well-documented fact. If you look at people's lifespans throughout history, it was kind of flatlined. I mean, people lived to be 18, 20, 25 years old for most of mankind's life up until, what? The Industrial Revolution. Beginnings of capitalism, trade, at first in Europe and in England, and then ultimately here in America. That's when life expectancy really started to shoot up. And so capitalism is, and that's why people still are getting in dingy little yachts, they wish. They're getting in squalid little boats in Cuba. They're getting in caravans in the middle of Ecuador, El Salvador, these terrible places, to come up here and work very awful jobs, to pursue their American dream. And we should welcome that. We should welcome that. That's the real promise of America.
Because that does bring up a good question is, I guess, why are so many people trying to come here?
I would never propose to, I believe because despite everything that's going on with our own politics, this country still represents, opportunity writ large. Opportunity to worship, if you're into the type of thing. Opportunity to pursue wealth, which hopefully everyone should be into. What do we often hear now? Well, they're taking our jobs, they're taking our wealth. That's exactly the wrong way to look at it.
Immigrants,
exactly. I mean, it's a very un-American perspective to look at it as well. I mean, the more people who are here. I mean, would any of us be better off on a desert island where no one ever came? When no one ever came, new people come. They bring new skills. They bring new hands. They bring new minds. They bring new abilities. I mean, it's not it's not surprising that so much of the Fortune 500, certainly in Silicon Valley, are from second and third generation entrepreneurs. One of the things I love, Michelle, that I get so emotional about this country is that you can come here and become American. You know, it's like I have so many friends who either they came from India or whatever, you know, it's like they came from somewhere, or they came from Canada, but they're American, not because of their bloodline, their color. I mean, that's that racist, collectivist bullshit that really frustrates me. You know, that, oh, well, I'm part of this tribe, that tribe. This is the only country in the history of the world, I think to this day, you can go and really become American. Move to France, I'm never going to be French. Never. I could live there for 30 years. They'd say, oh, well, he's from America, he's just living here in France. People come here and they become American not because of the color of their skin, but they embrace these values: individualism, capitalism, working hard, and starting at, you know, oftentimes the immigrants are the ones who have the best sense of Americanism. They're coming there to pursue their own dream. They're the ones who are most excited about it. So, you know, they need the education, but our own people need it as well.
How does Ayn Rand's philosophy fall with immigration, like actual border patrol or control? What does she think about that, or how hard or easy it is for people to become citizens or get their green cards?
This is probably the best example of, you know, objectivism is a philosophy. There's a lot of different opinions on that very issue, and it's a hotly debated issue in objectivism and out of objectivism. You know, some people are very much in favor of, every phrase has kind of a hot button take, but like, let's just say open, well, let's say open borders.
Yeah.
You know, people are, others
like,
are.
Would you say that you guys are open border?
No, well, I would never say you guys. Come on now.
You got, okay, Ayn Rand philosophy?
No, I mean, well, even within objectivism, some people are more advocate for more open immigration. Others are much more restrictive based on a lot of different reasons.
So there's a range.
Of course, that's what makes the discussion of Americanism and ideas so interesting, is that there is great debates about it, especially when it comes down to individual application. You know, so yes, you can debate about, you know, well, should we have minimal screening at the border? Should we have heavy screening at the border? But I think the value of immigrants to the country, I don't think is really debated amongst anyone, that what they do bring to the country. And so I think for me, that's not really up for debate.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching the episode. If you're interested in contributing to the conversation and supporting the show, there's 2 easy things you can do. 1, click subscribe, and 2, visit our Patreon page where you get exclusive access to the Exploring Minds community.